Hi, Mom. So, my wife took me to New York for a getaway. We arrived Thursday night. I'm going to tell you all about it. We're back. We left Sunday. It was Thursday to Sunday. We got in Thursday night. We left Charlotte at in the evening. We had a little airport dinner, which was fun. I saw a plane, an old U.S. Airways plane. I made a video about it and posted it. Um, and we got to New York. I was so happy to see New York. We watched thunderstorms the whole flight up. I got video of that for the daughter, so that because she's right now a little afraid of lightning, and I wanted her to see cloud to cloud lightning from a plane. I thought that would somehow assuage her fear. What she does now is she goes and she hides underneath the couch when she hears lightning. It's very sad. So, but we're working, and I thought that would help, and it did in some ways. But anyway, so we got in Thursday night. We stayed at a hotel in downtown Brooklyn. It was on the 24th floor, which was amazing, but there was no air conditioning. And they said it was broken, but I just don't think that it was wired to support it, frankly. But I didn't mind. We opened the windows. It was a little loud, but I slept fine. The next morning, wifey was there with a coffee, an iced coffee, and she had to go to work, but I was able to go explore the city. So I rented a city bike and I rode to Brooklyn Heights, and I had a fun flaky donut and some green tea. And then I walked down the promenade, or what do they call it? I think it's the Brooklyn Heights Promenade. And I checked out Lower Manhattan, which was fun. And then I got another city bike and I rode around the Brooklyn Bridge State Park. And I even took the city bike a little off-road, and it stood to the challenge impressively. And then I was going to ride over to Williamsburg to take a trip down memory lane, but I got to this street, Clinton Ave, and I decided I wanted to turn there and head up towards Prospect Park. So I did, and I really rode that bicycle aggressively. I forgot how much fun you could have on a bicycle, even a city bike, where the car speeds are a little more reasonable. And yeah, it was great. And then I was in Prospect Park, was walking through a meadow, and I don't know if they were mowing dandelions or they were just blowing or whatever, but there was this, it looked like, I'll post this content too, there was this like almost snowstorm of dandelion seeds flying all around, and it was for like a solid 50 meters, just impressive, just this stuff blowing. Like I said, I'll post the link. And as I left it, there was one of the parks employees there. I don't know if he was, what his story was, but I made a Bob Marley reference. I said, there's a natural mystic blowing through the air. I got a smile out of him. And then I finished my walk. I went to the Brooklyn Public Library. By that point, I'd had a few teas and stuff. So I went to the Brooklyn Public Library, mostly to use their bathroom. And it's cool. I've never been in there before. They have like this fun art modern atrium with just cool architecture. And then they had a record player. They had this old record player and you could play with. So I put a Bananarama LP on because they had a famous video for Cruel Summer, which was filmed in Brooklyn in the very early 1980s. And it was a different, anyway, I listened to it to the chorus. And then they had some jazz. I listened to a little bit of jazz for a little bit, just trying to keep myself entertained. And some of the stuff was pretty challenging. It was cool. If I had more time and an inclination, I'd definitely spend some time hanging out there, especially in the cold, the cold months. But at that point, I wanted to take advantage of New York's new regulated cannabis market. So I ended up, I went to this one place I found called the Cannabis, but you need to have a medical card only to insert. But they recommended one of their regulated entities. It was called the Travel Agency, which was down on by the Barclay Center. So I rode back there, and they ended up selling me a defective product. But later they swapped it out and replaced it, which was cool. It was great working with a regulated entity. And after I did all that, I went and met wifey for a lunch, but she was all stressed out. This project that she's working on has been a challenging one for her, and she's been doing well, but she had to go back to the office. So I went over. So at this point, we're in Manhattan. I rode my bike over the bridge and stuff. It was cool. As I was riding over the bridge, I was listening to my headphones, and I put on Rapper's Delight as I crossed the Manhattan Bridge. So, you know, hip hop, hippie to the hip hop, you don't stop, rock it to the bang, you know that one. And I'm coming down the bridge, and Big Bad Hank, he's here, he's there, he's everywhere. And I thought to myself, I feel so good on this bicycle. I'm going wherever I want. So it was a poignant moment. But we had some lunch. I had bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, 3 or so. I was dressed like a camp counselor the whole time because, you know, full-time dad. I got some looks in Soho for being so plain looking, I suppose. But I don't care. I was comfortable. And then wifey went back to work. I went to the Hudson River Greenway. I was going to try my new regulated product out, but it wasn't working. So I had to, I continued to walk. I was like, I'm not going right back to Brooklyn immediately. But so I continued to walk down through Battery Park City, but then the pathway was closed. So I picked up a city bike and I rode across the bridge, and those nice folks at the hemp store switched me out for another product that wasn't effective, which was good. But the weird thing is they made me test it outside on the street. It was so fun. It was like, gosh, during the Bloomberg administration or the Giuliani administration, you couldn't get away with that. But, you know, in 2024, it's encouraged. Hit this thing on Flatbush Ave at the center of the world. So I did. And it was just in town. We just had to test it. We're very, very regulated about the whole thing. But that was good. And then wifey met me at the hotel where we were. But we had moved. We were back up in the 24th floor. I was happy with it, frankly. We had a sea breeze. I was good. But wifey wanted to sleep in air conditioning, so we got moved down to the 5th floor. That was okay too. But then we went out. We went for dinner at this date spot I used to go to a lot on Houston Street. It's been taken over by new management, and they're doing a great job. I've never seen the place so busy. Same olive oil, different group running it though. And they had a lot of folks out on the sidewalk doing that outdoor dining, which was new to me. And it's kind of like a soccer bar now. Like Sunday morning, there's like Italian soccer jerseys everywhere. It's a little different. But whatever. I remember I used to go on a lot of dates there, and I developed a bit of a rapport with the waitress. She was like an old Italian lady. And after I took my current wife there a couple times, she gives us limoncello shots for free. I didn't even know they had limoncello, but she wanted to celebrate with us. And it just left a smile on my face. One of those neat New York stories. But then I filmed this video, the Staten Island video, because I wanted to do something. I do those videos every week. And the Staten Island Ferry ride is always an experience I've enjoyed all through since I did it, you know. So I was glad to capture it. I couldn't find a full one on YouTube, so I felt like I'd just make one for myself. This one came out okay. I could, you know, if someone else does it on a different boat with a different camera, they could probably do a better job, but I did what I could, and I'm happy with how it turned out. And I didn't get to check out the wall at Ellis Island, where they were letting everyone in, including our ancestors, but maybe some other time. But yeah, then we got back. We went back to Brooklyn. We went to this place to get soft serve ice cream. The flavors were from like the Western Pacific, and they were great. I really enjoyed it. It was fun, and the vibe was fun. It was like they were playing disco, like so when we went in, it was still summer. They were playing on the radio. It was like this food market, so they had all these different stalls, and they're blaring disco. And I like On the Radio. It was a good one. And then they played some other stuff I like recognized, but I don't know the artists. But they were singing about love, and everyone loves love. But there was clearly one stall there that was like uncomfortable with all the disco and love. They were playing hip hop, and it was gritty. It was so gritty. I was happy when I could start hearing singing about love again. And then we went to bed. We went home, went to bed. The next morning, wifey was in better spirits, so We were in downtown. We ended up going over to Borum Hill, maybe Cobble Hill, maybe Borum Hill, to get tea in a cafe. And we had some nice breakfast in a cafe. I had a spinach and feta omelet with a salad and French fries, and I mixed the salad and the French fries together so it felt healthy. The coffee was okay too. Then we got on city bikes and we rode up the hill to Prospect Park and took a walk around. We saw an old staircase, which was fun, and we saw a bunch of, we went down to we just walked all around basically. We walked through the upper meadow, we walked through the lower meadow. Once we got across the park near our old neighborhood, we decided to take city bikes and get a snack. So we rode across the park. We went to this cafe in, I guess they're calling it Park Slope South now, or South Slope. I still call it Windsor Terrace, but they had good Italian cookies. I asked for a recommendation. They're like, you have to try the cannoli. So I tried the cannoli. It was a small mini cannoli, which I was glad about. And then they had these like rainbow cookies that were fantastic, and they had these macaroons, these anisette macaroons, and they were delightful. And we'd been riding bikes fairly significantly at that point, so it was good to have some sugar. Right here we can see the view starting to come into scope. It always happens right about 10 minutes. Usually this is kind of where the ferry ride really starts to pick up. So you might want to look at the screen if you haven't been looking at the screen, because it's going to be a really nice view for a little bit. In any case, getting back to our vacation, wifey wanted to walk across the bridge. So we rode down the hill, and then we walked across to the state park, Brooklyn Bridge State Park. We walked through Brooklyn Bridge State Park, which was awesome. The trees have all grown in since the last time I was there, which was fantastic. And then we picked up the Brooklyn Bridge by Cadman Plaza and walked in what was the old bike lane. And it was cool. We got to stop on some of the platforms. We have to dodge bikes. We were able to experience it in a different way. And I got to look out over that harbor, which is just always jaw-dropping in terms of its scale. It's huge. I can only imagine what everyone that ever set their eyes on it for the first time felt. Because that's what I feel. I feel like every time I look at it, and I've seen it a fair few number of times in my life at this point, it still leaves me speechless. We finished our walk, and we decided we were so tired that we wanted to take e-city bikes back. So we spent some time trying to find fully charged e-city bikes, and eventually we did. And we rode those things back over the bridge, and they had some get up and go. That was a lot of fun. They were premium. You couldn't use the day pass with them, so that's why we were a little stingy with it. But we got one. We went up over the bridge, and we got to where we're going in downtown Brooklyn, and then we switched back to the pedal bikes. And we rode back to Borum Hill, or maybe Cobble Hill. And wifey took me to this place to indulge in a beverage, which I did. I had some beer and I had some rosé. It was okay. It was a rosé cider, so I had some beer and some cider. They were both nice. They were tart. The cider was supposedly a large-scale producer out of Long Island that wifey had heard of. So that was good. And then we went across the street to get some Italian food, which historically that part of Brooklyn was for Italians what South Boston was for Irish. So it was very appropriate to be there. And I had lasagna. And frankly, I never really had lasagna much, like until I came to where I'm living now in Charlotte, because I don't know, the pasta was always so good. It was like, why have lasagna? You never got enough of it, basically, I think is what it was. But there's a place here that does a decent reheat lasagna, so I've been eating a little bit of lasagna, and I decided I wanted to try lasagna in South Brooklyn, so I did, and it was fantastic. I told wifey, this is the best lasagna I've ever had in my life. That said, I've only been eating it for like the last year and a half, so it's not really a good measure of what's good or what's bad. But we enjoyed that, and then we decided to go back to the hotel, freshen up a bit, and we're gonna have something to do. So we're gonna do a bus tour, a Times Square bus tour. So we got on the subway and went to Times Square, and we got on one of the buses, and it was nighttime by that point. It was cool. We're on the top deck, And I just remember looking out over the grid, and I was relaxed and calm. I'd been to that store the day before, right? And I'd never really appreciated what 7th Avenue looks like from an open air, from a convertible, basically. And we can still also look forward, and it's endless, right? So now I live where there are commercial strips, car-centric commercial strips, and they're long, right? They might be, a mile or whatever, but like, or 1.5 kilometers. But like the looking down 7th Avenue, that grid is endless. It's amazing. It's just block after block after block. It's you. And then like NYPD or whatever, they were doing their training, and we watched them. I don't know I hope they were doing training or drilling. I would hope they would be doing that on a Saturday night at 9 or so. But they must have covered 10 or 12 blocks with their sirens going in seconds. The response time was just amazing. And it was impressive to see just that display of like ability. But the bus, went underway, and we got to look at all the buildings and look up and see the towers and stuff. It was cool. But it was also very much like, the grid is great. It's the industrial grid. It's the car grid or whatever. And it was good for what we were, which was in a tour bus. And then we made it across the bridge into Brooklyn, and over the Manhattan Bridge is how the bus went. So we took some pictures of us with that in the background, the skyline, which was neat. And then it was back to Manhattan. So we turned back around. I think we came back over. I don't know what bridge we came back over. We came back over. Maybe it was the same bridge. And we came up the east side. And we got to see the UN building, which was cool. And they just dropped off to Times Square. And we got the subway, and we went back. We got a cake again in South Brooklyn, in Bococa. And it was a good cake. It was fantastic. Good to sit on the patio. And I had actually a cream horn. I didn't have a cake. It was filled with Nutella filling, and it was delightful. I was delighted. It was so good. And we've been doing so much walking and riding, I didn't care. It was like guilt-free calories. And then we went back to the hotel. And then the next morning, it was back to reality. We I'm just stop. Look at this view, right? Look at that lower Manhattan. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the other one, but it was a great view. The Staten Island Ferry ride was always so much fun. But anyway, so we went to LaGuardia, and then we got on the plane and flew home. And it was a nice getaway. It was good. I feel we both needed it. I've been taking care of those kids, and it's great. I love it. I love getting to see them grow and develop, and I feel like they're both really flourishing with me and my support. But and wifey, I think she needed a distraction from all that she's been dealing with as well. And it was great that we got to spend some time together like we did when we were much younger, and we had far fewer responsibilities. So overall, it was a great trip. It was exactly what we needed. I told wifey that like we're gonna get a doctor to prescribe this for us so we can get it. We can get the tax benefits. We can pay for it with our flex spending account or something like that. And maybe we'll find a doctor that's willing to prescribe that, right? If there's a doctor that's willing to prescribe this, I'm sure there's a doctor that's willing to prescribe a vacation in New York every once in a while. Because I really did leave feeling energized and youthful, which was great. And I left this part of the video, and so back to the video. So I mean, obviously there's a skyline, which is amazing. And then this part of the video I kept, because I've ridden this ferry enough times to know that like what a good docking is, and this was a fantastic docking. If you listen in the background, you'll hear on like the raw footage, there's no screeching, there's no grinding of the ferry against the side walls. It's so smooth. There's no thud, there's no crunch. They just slowly come to a stop, and then they lower the bridge. These folks, for a Friday night crew, were top notch. They need to get moved to wherever they want to work, frankly, because they are so good. That's a little editorial for you there. And then the other thing about this, so as soon as the bridge is lower and they open the gates, it's a mad dash off the ferry. It's like everyone's trying to get onto the subway. And I cut before that part, but you'll see the bridge is lower, and that's that. But yeah, I just figured I'd catch up with you. I have to go back through this and make sure I edited all the names so that I'm not using real names. And yeah, that's all I got. Well, I'll talk to you soon, I'm sure. But I figured since you watch these and you listen to these, I'd just kind of make one for you. So check you later. Bye.